Representing Pohnpei Team 2 from Pohnpei SDA, debaters Tony Patriot, Shian Tealofa Hoferhoff, and alternate debater Noah Panuelo, and Coach Leighton S. Edward. Representing Team Yap from Yap Catholic High School, we have Martin Edeliang Raycard, Anthony Rootmark, and alternate debater Aaron Southwick with their coach Saralyn Wuyoj. Please welcome Pohnpei Team 2 and Yap Team. Thank you. Debaters, let me remind you, you will begin your presentation when the timekeeper holds up the start time card. Let us begin. For the proponent's introduction, Pohnpei Team 2, you have 3 minutes.
Honorable judges, esteemed moderator, worthy opponents, timekeeper, ladies and gentlemen, warm greetings and my respects to all. I thank you for this opportunity to debate on a very important topic that is very relevant to this nation, especially since it involves something so ubiquitous in our daily lives, social media. The affirmative team stands before you in strong support of the proposition which states, and I quote, "Now therefore, be it resolved that the Federated States of Micronesia shall restrict access to all online social media platforms for minor children under the age of 18, including but not limited to Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube," end quote. To help set the tone of this debate, I would like to define 2 terms. First, restrict access. Black's Law Dictionary defines this phrase as a, quote, "limit or control on activities by its ruling legislation," end quote. In other words, it does not mean to ban or to legally prohibit. This definition was also agreed on by the Assistant Attorney Generals we interviewed at the FSM Department of Justice. Therefore, let it be clear that this resolution is not calling for a complete ban on social media for children, but rather for common sense regulation. Second, minor children. Title 52, Chapter 1, Section 101 of the Pohnpei State Code defines a juvenile as, quote, "any person who has not attained the age of 18 years," end quote. The affirmative team will present 6 compelling reasons in support of this proposition. First, this proposition safeguards children against the lurking dangers of social media. 2, it safeguards children against the and 6, it protects the promise of the FSM's future by investing in the well-being of its children. Honorable judges, the FSM must take proactive action to safeguard its children. Supporting this proposition is both a logical and necessary step. Thank you.
Thank you, Pohnpei Team 2. Opponent's introduction, Team Yap, you have 3 minutes.
Greetings, Kasalelia, Mogathin, Rananim, and Lenwo. Kamirale, everyone. Before we begin, we would like to pay our respects to the spirits of these great islands, our elders, the people of Koshrai, and the Federated States of Micronesia. We would also like to pay our respects to all dignitaries and members of the audience, those visiting, and those who have come to participate in this debate. We would also like to pay our respects to the honorable judges, our opposing teams, and the coaches. My name is Martin Adiliang, and with me here today is my partner, Anthony Ruthmug, and our alternative speaker, Aaron Southwick. We are representing the state of Yap, and we are the opposing team who are against the resolution that states, and I quote, "Be it resolved that the Federated States of Micronesia shall restrict access to all online social media platforms for minor children under the age of 18, including but not limited to Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube," end quote. In today's digital age, social media has become a significant part of our daily lives, especially among young people. Platforms like Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube have become a powerful tool for connection, education, self-expression, and entertainment. We need to understand that having a restriction towards these social media platforms is both extreme and unrealistic. It takes away necessary tools for a child to have access to information and connection, and it also takes away from opportunities for learning, creativity, and connecting. Now, we cannot protect our children from every danger, but what we can do is teach them how to face risks and make wise choices. The dangers of life are opportunities for growth and understanding, and it is our responsibility to teach them how to face these obstacles. The opposing team has come up with 4 reasons on why the nation should not implement this restriction amongst minors. And they are, 1, social media is a tool for education and expression. 2, cutting off social media means you are cutting off connection. 3, restricting social media limits young people's ability to engage with and revitalize their cultural identities in a globalized world. And lastly, 4, the real problem is lack of digital literacy, not access. In our main argument, we will prove that implementing this restriction is not practical and not safe, and that there are many more options than just a restriction. By using evidence, facts, and professional opinions, it will be shown that a restriction is harmful and not smart if we want to support a more balanced approach to guiding the youth in this digital age. Thank you.
Thank you, Team Yap. Proponents' main argument. Pohnpei Team 2, you have 15 minutes.
StopBullying.gov, a website run by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Social media platforms like Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and Snapchat are among the most common places where cyberbullying takes place. The consequences of cyberbullying among children can be severe, leading to anxiety, depression, low self-esteem, academic decline, social withdrawal, and in extreme cases, self-harm or suicide. Unlike traditional bullying, cyberbullying extends beyond school grounds and invades personal spaces 24/7, making it nearly impossible for victims to escape. The consequences of cyberbullying are devastating. In 2010, 13-year-old Hope Sitwell took her own life after a private photo of her was spread across 6 schools in Ruskin, Florida, resulting in severe online harassment. Similarly, in 2024, the New York Post reported on 12-year-old Adiel Boyd from Australia, who also died by suicide after suffering continuous cyberbullying, with her mother highlighting the dangers of social media in the bullying that she went through. These tragedies are not isolated cases. Similar stories continue to emerge worldwide. In 2019, a UNICEF poll reported that 1 in 3 young people in 30 countries said that they have been a victim of online bullying. 3 years later, the Pew Research Center reported in 2022 that nearly half of all U.S. teens have experienced cyberbullying. And last year, the World Health Organization reported that 1 out of 6 children in Europe has experienced cyberbullying. These alarming statistics highlight a growing crisis that has only intensified with the widespread use of social media platforms. While specific data for the FSM may be limited, shouldn't we take proactive steps to protect our teens? Passing this resolution would significantly reduce cyberbullying cases and safeguard the mental and physical well-being of minors. The second danger this resolution would help reduce is exploitation. Social media has fueled a rise in online grooming. ChildSafety.gov, a website managed by the Australian government, defines online grooming as the process of establishing a relationship with a minor to facilitate sexual abuse, often leading to child pornography. Groomers often start with casual conversations before coercing victims into sharing explicit content. According to the UK National Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children, almost 34,000 online grooming crimes against children were recorded in the last 6 years in the UK alone. And in 73% of these incidents, the communication took place on social media platforms. To protect our children from being exploited for their personal information and sexual abuse, the FSM should support this resolution. The third danger this resolution would help reduce is exposure to harmful content. The content social media algorithms push are not always safe or friendly. In fact, Some trends on TikTok encourage users to harm themselves. In the 2022 Pennsylvania court case Anderson v. TikTok, it was revealed that 10-year-old Nyla Anderson died after attempting TikTok's blackout challenge, which encourages participants to asphyxiate themselves. She was found unconscious in a closet with a purse strap and later passed away. Similarly, the Times reports that 11-year-old Tommy Lee Gracie Billington died after trying the TikTok chroming challenge, which involves inhaling toxic chemicals to get high. Researchers done 2 individuals kicked the legs out from under a third person, causing them to fall backwards. This has resulted in serious injuries, including concussions and fractures. By passing this resolution, we can significantly reduce our children's exposure to harmful content and curb dangerous behaviors which would lead to serious injury and tragic deaths. Because of the dangers that social media expose children to, it is no surprise that we are witnessing an increase in mental health problems among adolescents, which brings me to our second main reason. The second reason to support this proposition is that social media use has been linked to impaired mental health conditions in adolescents. Research from Current Opinion in Psychology reports a 60% increase in depression, self-harm, and suicide attempts among minors in the U.S. from 2011 to 2018. This surge coincides with the growing dominance of social media in daily life, a connection supported by numerous studies. For instance, a scoping review published in the International Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health found that the risk of depression in adolescents increased by 13% for each additional hour spent on social media. Another study supported by the National Institute of Health highlighted that adolescents who spend more than 3 hours daily on social media are at double the risk of experiencing mental health issues, including depression and anxiety. Additionally, a systematic review supported by the NIH noted a small but statistically significant relationship between social media use and depressive symptoms in this age group. The data is clear. Social media poses a threat to the mental well-being of children. To protect young minds, we must address the issue at its source. Passing this resolution is a logical step towards safeguarding adolescent mental health. Now my speaking partner Thea Overhoff will share our next 4 reasons to support this proposition.
The third reason to support this proposition is that the dangers of social media have been recognized by the international community. Countries worldwide acknowledge the risk social media poses to minors and have implemented laws to mitigate these dangers. For example, Australia's Online Safety Amendment prohibits individuals under 16 from using most social media platforms, acknowledging the harm these platforms can cause to young people's mental and emotional well-being. Similarly, the European Union's Digital Services Act restricts targeted advertising and redesigns recommendation systems to protect minors from harmful content and online manipulation. These measures highlight a growing global consensus that unregulated social media access can lead to detrimental outcomes, ultimately hindering children's development. By supporting this resolution, the FSM would be making a critical investment in safeguarding our children and ensuring a healthier, more secure digital environment. The fourth reason to support this proposition is that it aligns with the nation's commitment to child protection. Our state governments have demonstrated that they prioritize the protection of our children and have enacted legislation to this effect. For example, Title 41, Chapter 5, Section 521. Similarly, Chapter 3, Section 101 of the same title prohibits the sale or transfer of tobacco products to minors. These laws recognize the fact that minors are vulnerable to external influences that could impair their health. Also, YAP State Codes Title 11, Chapter 12, Statute 2-105 enforces a curfew for minors between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m., recognizing the risks children face in unsupervised settings. And finally, Title 71, Chapter 7, Section 108 of the Pohnpei Code sets the minimum age requirement for driving at 16. recognizing that underage children are developmentally unequipped to operate a motor vehicle. By restricting social media access for minors, this proposition upholds the same commitment to child protection, ensuring that our laws continue to safeguard the well-being and development of our youth in an increasingly digital world. The fifth reason to support this proposition is that it aligns with FSM's international agreements and obligations of child protection. In May 1993, the FSM became a signatory member of the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, commonly referred to as the CRC. The CRC is a binding international agreement that outlines the fundamental rights of a child. As a party to this treaty, the FSM is legally required to uphold its provisions. Article 3 of the CRC makes it clear that, and I quote, "The best interests of the child should be a primary consideration in all actions concerning children," end quote. As my partner presented in the first part of our main argument, social media presents significant risks to young users. And by restricting access until children are more mature, FSM is acting responsibly to protect its youth before they face these dangers unprepared. Moreover, Article 19 of the CRC obligates governments to shield children from all forms of physical and mental harm, including those that occurs in digital spaces. As our research showed, social media platforms have become breeding grounds for predatory behavior, misinformation, and toxic online environments. If we have laws to protect children from threats in the physical world, shouldn't we do the same in the digital world? Now, some may argue that restricting social media access violates children's freedom of expression under Article 13 of the CRC. However, the same article allows for reasonable limitations in the interest of public safety, health, and morality. This spirit of balancing freedom with safety can be seen throughout the treaty. Lastly, the CRC also emphasizes parental guidance in Article 5, but the reality is that many parents in the FSM lack the tools or resources to monitor their children's online activity effectively. This law acts as a necessary safeguard, providing structured protection where parental supervision may not be enough. As you can see, not only is this proposition needed, it also helps the FSM meet its obligations under the CRC. The sixth and final reason to support this proposition is that it would protect the promise of FSM's future. The preamble of the FSM Constitution states, and I quote, "With this Constitution, we affirm our common wish to protect the promise of the future," end quote. The future of FSM depends on the strength and well-being of our youth, but excessive social media use threatens their ability to focus, learn, and grow. Studies have shown that social media triggers dopamine release, much like gambling or drug addiction, leading to compulsive use. Research in addictive behaviors confirms that heavy users experience reduced impulse control, while 2022 studies in a peer-reviewed journal published by the Public Library of Science link excessive social media use to declining academic performance. Additionally, research by the National Sleep Foundation shows that late-night scrolling leads to sleep deprivation, negatively impacting cognitive development and emotional stability. If we do nothing, we risk raising a generation unprepared for the challenges of adulthood, trapped in distraction, low productivity, and digital dependency. By restricting access for minors in social media platforms, FSM is taking a proactive step to protect its youth and invest in its future. This is not simply about limiting screen time. It is about preserving the strength and stability of our nation, ensuring that young people can develop focus, discipline, and resilience will prepare them to become capable leaders. If we truly care about the future of FSM, we must act now to shield our children from the harmful effects of social media and provide them with the foundation they need to thrive. Thank you.
Thank you, Pohnpei Team 2. Opponents rebuttal. Team Yap, you have 5 minutes.
Thank you for your main argument. Now I will rebut. Your first three main points highlight the dangers of social media, like cyberbullying and exposure to inappropriate and harmful content. Well, cyberbullying and exposure to inappropriate or harmful content is a serious issue. Yes, we agree. But doesn't it also happen through text messages, email, and even online school platforms? Why focus only on social media? Is total restriction an effective or realistic way to prevent this? Or does it simply delay it and reduce the opportunity to teach critical thinking and responsible usage? You also talked about mental health. Instead of restricting access, wouldn't providing education on digital literacy and healthy online behavior be more effective and less extreme solution to the mental health concern you raise? And for your last 3 points, you highlight child protection and the future of the child. Well, we want to ask this. What about the positive aspects of social media, like connecting friends, accessing educational content, or joining support communities, especially isolated or marginalized youth? Do those negative effects outweigh the positive effects social media brings to us each day? Thank you.
Thank you, Team Yap. Now for the proponents' response to the rebuttal. Pohnpei Team 2, you have 3 minutes.
Honorable judges, I thank the negative team for their rebuttal. In our affirmative main argument, we presented 6 compelling reasons in support of the proposition. However, in their rebuttal, our opponents attempted to address 2 of our 6 main points. They failed to address our main points on the international community's acknowledgement, how this proposition aligns with the FSM's child protection laws. This resolution aligns with FSM CRC's obligations and protecting FSM's future. I will now respond to the points that they did mention, starting with main point number 1, the dangers of social media. They stated that cyberbullying can take place on other platforms. While it's true that cyberbullying occurs on various platforms, social media is still the primary and most pervasive space where bullying occurs. Social media platforms are specifically designed for social interaction and sharing, which makes them hotspots for harmful behavior. To our second main point on the negative impact on children's mental health, they stated that we were ignoring the benefits that social media also provides us with. Our opponents failed to address the substance of our main argument. We provided clear evidence that shows that social media platforms do have these harms and dangers. And in their rebuttal, they failed to directly counter this. They avoided our evidence and instead said that social media has benefits, ignoring the clear dangers of social media that we previously presented. They also stated that this proposition prevents children from learning digital skills, or that digital literacy would be a better route to take instead of a restriction. This claim is misleading. It falsely equates digital skills with social media use. In reality, essential digital skills such as typing, online research, email, coding, Microsoft Office, and video editing are taught independently of social media and remain accessible to students in school. Thank you.
Thank you, Pohnpei Team 2. For the opponent's main argument, Team Yap, you have 15 minutes for your main argument.
As stated in our introduction, we are against the resolution that states that the FSM shall restrict access to all online social media platforms for minor children under the age of 18, including but not limited to Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. We are against this resolution because Number 1, social media is a tool for education and expression. Number 2, cutting off social media means you are cutting off connection. Number 3, restricting social media limits young people's ability to engage with and revitalize cultural identities in a globalized world. And number 4, the real problem is lack of digital literacy, not access. Starting with our first point, social media is a tool for education and expression. In today's digital age, platforms like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube are where young people express their thoughts, share their stories, and engage in important conversations about identity, culture, politics, and more. According to the FSM Constitution, Article 9, Section 1, it states, and I quote, "We live in the 21st century, where digital platforms are deeply integrated into everyday life. For many youth, it's their primary way of expressing thoughts, emotions, and perspectives on the world. If we restrict these social media platforms, we are taking away their fundamental right as children to express themselves. In addition to that, the United Nations Convention on the Right of Child, which is basically a global human treaty that the FSM ratified in 1993, talks about how children are entitled to have proper education. In Article 17, it states that children need access to information from diverse sources to become well-rounded individuals. And government should encourage the mass media to help make this happen. As part of the convention, we must implement and uphold this right. Education is a key factor for the nation's success in the future. By limiting our sources, we are taking away the chances for someone to make the world a better place tomorrow. Secondly, by cutting off social media means you are cutting off connection with the world. Growing up on tiny islands, barely seen on the map, we see that it is hard to know what is out there in the world. For example, here in the Federal States of Micronesia, our land is not connected. It is hard for us to comprehend and understand each other without these social media platforms. We must take into account how this nation also relies heavily on social media. According to the World Bank's Digital Federal States of Micronesia project, they say that FSM is highly dependent on digital technologies to connect people across vast distances. This restriction takes away reliable digital services like social media for everyday life in the FSM, especially for vulnerable communities. If we restrict social media, it makes their communication to the outside world even harder. What happens when an emergency happens to them? Are they able to communicate across the vast ocean to ask for help? Social media is not just entertainment for minors. It is one of many efficient ways for support and communication with families and friends across the world. In addition to that, according to the Pew Research Center for today's minors, friendships can start digitally. 50% of minors have already met a new friend online. This shows social media and online gameplay are the most common digital venues for meeting friends. This resolution fails to consider the unique role social media plays in uniting FSM youth across distances and ways it helps vulnerable communities, and that makes it both impractical and harmful. Let us understand that evolving is a key part for a successful future. Therefore, we must remember that social media is a key and vital way for communication and opportunities. Thirdly, restricting minors from social media can unintentionally suppress cultural expression and preservation efforts led by youth. A study published in the International Journal of Progressive Sciences and Technologies highlights how social media platforms with the right guidance for younger generations promote younger generations to celebrate and maintain traditions by sharing customs and ways of life. Youth today are already using platforms to showcase traditional dances, share native languages, document rituals, and even fight for land and environmental rights tied to their heritage. For many, especially those far away from home, social media is the bridge back to home. According to Title 26 of the FSM Code, Historical Sites and Antiques, specifically Section 101, it states, and I quote, "It is the policy of the Federal States of Micronesia to protect and preserve the diverse cultural heritage of the peoples of Micronesia, and in furtherance of that policy, to assist in the identification and maintenance of those areas, sites, and objects of historical significance within the Federal States of Micronesia." With social media, we will be able to protect and preserve our culture more efficiently. Rather than solely relying on oral traditions, these digital venues enable more efficient cultural preservation. Lastly, the real problem is lack of digital literacy, not access. Studies from the Pew Research Center shows that over 90% of minors worldwide use social media daily. The Pew Research Center reports that 71% of 13 to 17-year-olds use Facebook, 52% use Instagram, and 41% use Snapchat. Whether harmful or beneficial, it all comes down to our responsibility to educate minors on how to properly use it. Rather than focusing on restricting social media, the FSM should implement internet safety to school curriculum, teaching minors on how to manage screen time, avoid online risks, and use platforms for communication and education. How do we know that the restriction of social media will help minors? Well, here is how it will not. Restricting social media not only leaves children uninformed and unprepared for the realities of the digital world, it also takes away something they already have. The world is constantly evolving into a digital era, and we must be responsible enough to teach young generations on how to properly use social media. The reality is, we already have access to social media, and restricting it now will not only be hugely unpopular, but also poses a risk to those already addicted and heavily reliant on it. As I have mentioned before, restricting shouldn't be an option because it will not have a positive effect in the long run. But having strict regulations and education will help and guide them to know how to properly use it now and for the future. Once again, this resolution is both impractical and harmful for these following reasons. Number 1, social media is a tool for education and expression. Number 2, cutting off social media means you are cutting off connection with the world. And number 3, restricting social media limits young people's ability to engage with and revitalize cultural identities in a globalized world. And lastly, number 4, the real problem is lack of digital literacy, not access. Thank you.
Thank you, Team Yap. Proponents rebuttal. Pohnpei Team 2, you have 5 minutes.
Honorable judges, I appreciate the opposing team for presenting their argument. However, the affirmative team finds their reasoning unconvincing, and I would like to address key issues in their argument. But first, let it be clear that this resolution is a regulation, not an outright ban on social media. On the point of social media acting as an educational tool, this is a misleading argument that overlooks several key points. YouTube's primary function is entertainment, not education. This means that the algorithms can push content that can be harmful, false, or inappropriate for minors. There are other online learning platforms, such as Khan Academy and Google Classroom, that provide age-appropriate, ad-free educational content. Next, our opponent stated that this proposition takes away a minor's right to expression. However, the affirmative team strongly disagrees with this claim. This resolution is a regulation, not an outright ban on the freedom of expression. The restriction does not silence minors. It only limits where and how they can engage online for their safety. Children can still express themselves through through other means, such as school publications, in-person discussions, and parental monitored online platforms. The freedoms enshrined in the Constitution are not absolute, especially for minors. The government has the power and the duty to limit certain freedoms in the interest of protecting children. As presented in our affirmative main argument, both our national and state governments have already demonstrated this fact. Given the serious dangers that minors are exposed to while using social media, this resolution is both a reasonable and logical step to mitigate these harms. Next, to their point on the CRC. Article 3 of the CRC obligates its member states to prioritize the best interest of the child above all other considerations, even if that means temporarily limiting their personal freedoms. In fact, Article 19 requires the FSM to take all appropriate measures to protect children from maltreatment or exploitation. Moreover, Article 13 states that a child's freedom of expression may be restricted in the interest of public health and safety. The CRC is clear on this matter. Governments have a duty to enact legislation in the best interest of children. Next, our opponent stated that social media helps teenagers feel more connected. While adolescents may find temporary comfort or a sense of community through social media, the overall evidence shows that social media is more likely to worsen mental health rather than improve it. Given the clear evidence we provided in our main argument, the affirmative team cannot accept this point in the negative main argument. Next, on their point of culture. Actually, restricting social media will allow kids to engage with their culture even more, since they won't be always on their phone on social media. And lastly, our opponent stated, on the point of digital literacy. This claim is misleading. It falsely equates the digital skills with social media use. In reality, essential digital skills such as typing, online research, email, coding, Microsoft Office, and video editing are taught independently of social media and remain accessible to students in school. The argument also wrongly suggests that social media and online learning platforms are the same. They're not. Platforms like Google Classroom, Khan Academy, and Duolingo are designed for education, while social media is primarily for entertainment and socializing, often a distraction from learning. Finally, this resolution does not restrict access forever. Teens will have full access to social media once they are older and are better equipped to use it responsibly. And for these reasons, we find their main argument unconvincing. Thank you.
Thank you, Pohnpei Team 2. Opponent's response to the rebuttal. Team Yap, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you for your rebuttal. Now I will respond. Yes, even temporary restrictions are a violation if they deny fundamental rights. According to both the FSM Constitution and the UN Convention on the Rights of Child, minors have the right of freedom of expression and access to information. Protection doesn't mean cutting off those rights. It means teaching responsibility and setting healthy boundaries. With proper education and parental guidance, we can protect minors without isolating their freedoms or disconnecting them from the world. And on your point on restricting access so that they can learn, minors are already online. Denying access doesn't ensure maturity. It just delays how to be responsible in the environment that they are already entering. We don't wait until someone's an adult to teach them about nutrition or relationships. The same applies here. Digital maturity comes from early education and exposure with support, not total restriction. That's why we argue for education. As we know, minors are already online. Over 90% use social media daily. Rather than pretending that we can shield them forever, we should teach them how to navigate these platforms safely. Incorporating digital literacy into school curriculums will help minors understand how to manage screen time, recognize manipulation tactics, and make informed decisions online. Ignoring this need won't stop them from using social media. It will only leave them unprepared. Taking action is essential, but an outright restriction is not the right action. As we know, many minors are already addicted to social media. And addiction is a health issue. And like all health issues, it requires understanding and treatment, not isolation. Removing social media entirely could worsen their mental health, because we could be cutting off support networks. Thank you.
Thank you, Team Yap. For the proponent summation, Pompey Team 2, you have 4 minutes.
Honorable judges, esteemed moderator, timekeepers, ladies and gentlemen. I thank the negative team for their spirited arguments and for engaging in this important debate. The affirmative side reaffirms its strong support for the proposition, and I quote, "Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Federated States of Micronesia shall restrict access to all online social media platforms for minor children under the age of 18, including but not limited to Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube." End quote. We have provided you with 6 compelling reasons to support this proposition. Number 1, protection from the dangers of social media. We have highlighted the severe risks social media poses to children, including cyberbullying, exploitation, grooming, and exposure to harmful content. These dangers cannot be ignored, and this resolution offers a necessary safeguard to protect our children. Number 2, negative effects on adolescent mental health. Extensive research shows a clear link between social media use and increased rates of depression, anxiety, and self-harm among adolescents. This resolution takes a proactive step to limit children's exposure to social media's harmful effects, which are directly linked to mental health issues. Number 3, global recognition of the dangers of social media. The risks of social media for children have global recognition, and similar laws have been implemented in other places, such as Australia and Europe, to address these dangers. This widespread issue demands action, and by supporting this resolution, FSM would join forces with the rest of the world to protect young people from the dangers of social media. Number 4, consistency with FSM child protection laws. Many of the current laws embedded in our state codes, such as the curfew, driving, and drug use regulations, are aimed toward protecting minors from certain dangers, recognizing their vulnerability to harmful influences. This resolution preserves this commitment by safeguarding our children from the dangers of unregulated social media in today's digital world. Number 5, fulfilling international obligations to child protection. As a signatory of the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, CRC, FSM is legally obligated to protect children from all forms of harm, including those that occur in digital spaces. Articles 3 and 19 of the CRC mandate that children must be protected from all forms of physical and mental harm. With social media posing significant risks to our well-being, FSM is required to act in accordance with its international agreements. Number 6, protecting the promise of FSM's future. The FSM Constitution promotes a commitment to, quote, protect the promise of the future, end quote, which depends on the well-being of our youth. Excessive social media use harms their focus, learning, and development, hindering academic performance and leadership skills. By restricting social media access for minors, FSM takes a crucial step in protecting its youth and ensuring the next generation is prepared to build a resilient and thriving nation. Honorable judges, ladies and gentlemen, we are at a critical point in the digital age where the well-being of our children is increasingly at risk. While social media offers some benefits, it presents significant dangers that are negatively affecting the mental, emotional, and physical health of our youth. By supporting this resolution, we are taking the necessary steps to create a safer, healthier, and more secure environment for the next generation. Let us prioritize the protection of our children, fulfill our national and international responsibilities, and invest in a brighter, more promising future for the FSM. Thank you.
Thank you, Pohnpei Team 2. Opponents, it is time for your closing and summation. Team Yap, you have 4 minutes.
Taking everything into account, we would like to thank the affirmative team for their points and evidence. As the opposing team, we fully recognize the concerns raised by the affirmative side. Yes, there are risks on social media, and yes, minors are still developing emotionally and mentally. But the solution is not a restriction. The solution is education, empowerment, and responsible guidance, not a full-on restriction. We are against the resolution because it oversimplifies the bigger issue. Restriction for all minors assumes that they are incapable of learning how to navigate the world. It assumes that the only way to protect them is to shut them out. But what happens when we do that? First of all, restricting access to these platforms, it is not just for entertainment. Second, cutting off social media means that you are cutting off connections. Instead of preparing them for the digital age, we leave them unprepared. The internet isn't going away. Algorithms aren't going away. So instead of avoiding them, we should teach our youth to navigate them responsibly. The real danger is not access, it's lack of digital literacy. The rise of anxiety, depression, and cyberbullying doesn't stem from these platforms alone. It stems from how we use them and how little we teach the young people on how to use them safely. If we are serious about protecting the youth, we must invest in digital education and online safety programs, not restrictions. Thirdly, restricting social media limits young people's ability to engage with and revitalize their cultural identities in a globalized world. And finally, let us think about the message we send. Are we raising our children to fear the world or to face it with knowledge, responsibility, and awareness? We cannot shield them from every danger, but we can help them to thrive in this digital world. To think critically, to engage responsibly, and to be aware of their surroundings. So in conclusion, we are against the resolution. Do not silence the next generation. Equip them, support them, teach them how to use the tools of today, a day of modern technology and social literacy, so that they can shape a better tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Team Yap. It is now time for the judges' questioning for clarification purposes only. Judges, you may begin.
So first off, let me start by congratulating you all. You're excellent as always. I'm really torn in this debate, which I thought was excellent, by the way. You guys really got to the substance. I really liked it. I find the point that I'm most torn on is the issue of preparing the youth and educating them to use social media in more helpful and productive ways versus banning it because of the clear evidence of harm that's been shown. So on that point, I would ask both teams if you have any additional argument or in particular evidence of the effects of educational programs, digital literacy efforts, that sort of stuff, on actually improving minors' ability to use social media in a healthy and safe way. Because as I'm looking at it, I find the argument of preparing them to use it very compelling because, like you say, they're going to turn 18 eventually, and they're going to be immediately on these sites. What I'm lacking on that point was any evidence, because the proponents opened with a series of studies showing clear risk of harm to minors. And I didn't hear any necessarily evidence supporting the idea of education, digital literacy, that sort of thing. But I'm open to evidence or argument on the point from either or both teams. Sorry, just a point of clarification. I would like to hear from both teams on the point. Proponents, if you have evidence that these kind of digital literacy campaigns have failed, or additional evidence of proven harm, And then opponents, if you have any evidence that these programs have been successful and actually helped lead to better outcomes for the youth.
First of all, thank you for your question. So I believe that we can restrict and educate at the same time, and I would like to give an example. So public smoking bans began as early as 1975, even before scientists had fully proven that secondhand smoke caused specific diseases, and they based these bans off of strong correlations. And so after they set these bans, that's when like scientists started realizing that there was like a strong link between smoking and like lung diseases. And so I believe that we can restrict and educate at the same time. Like we can like set this resolution in place, and then like either like what they said, like educate kids in their like curriculum, school curriculums, yeah, stuff like that. Yeah, thank you.
For our team, there's a very good example of implementing school curriculums that help with digital literacy is our own school. Periodically, we go through these classes where we learn about how to use email and how to use social media responsibly. We learn who to contact if we see anything that is harmful or inappropriate. And this is a very good example because before our school wasn't really that digital literate, but now it's coming up, and we know how to use online platforms and social media better than we did before. Thank you.
Thank you. I wanted to ask kind of a follow-up question with regard to both of those things. And I'm actually curious to hear from you all, both sides, personally. I want to know if you have personally experienced online bullying or inappropriate content personally, or maybe some of your friends. Don't give me their names. And then what happened? I mean, how did was there anything that you guys did to resolve that issue in a proper way? And I'm just curious how prevalent this experience of online bullying is. So I want to know, have you personally been experiencing bullying, or do you know someone who's personally experiencing bullying in schools or online?
Thank you for your question. And so, me personally, I have not experienced cyberbullying. What I have experienced on social media is like the 18 plus content, and so like especially on Instagram, because I'm always on Instagram, and the comments. There are a lot of pages where the pinned comments are like only fan models who are like promoting their page, and they usually pay the page owner to pin their comment so that everyone who opens the comment, the first comment they see is that one girl promoting her content, and I've seen that like countless times, and I do try to like report it, but like there's just so many people promoting that it doesn't really work. So yeah, thank you.
And if I could just clarify that, so you haven't personally experienced bullying, but you're experiencing some forms of sexual harassment of sorts, and is that your personal experience?
No, I wasn't sexually harassed, but like, like, yeah, yes, exposed to inappropriate content. Yeah, thank you.
In my my personal experience, yes, I have encountered cyberbullying from strangers online. My solution to the problem was to block them or report them, either on a game platform or social media. Yeah.
Just to follow up on that too, you mentioned that one of your classes or in your schools you actually have a avenue by which you can report bullying or harassment
Yes.
through the school.
Yes.
Can you just explain to me a little bit more about that class and that instruction as to how? I would like to know if all of the students in the school know right away this is who I contact when I'm having trouble, or if it's something that's.
The teachers, the students are informed that if they have a problem of any kind, they report to the teacher first, and then they can take it from there.
Classroom school teacher. Yeah, right. And do you think that that's a prevalent avenue that's accessible to all students in the FSM, or is it just at your school?
I don't know about the whole FSM, but in Yap Catholic High School, they make sure to have that available for students. Thank you.
Thank you to both teams. I think you both did well and got us off to a strong start for day 2. My question is kind of general and open-ended, but it's of the 5 main portions of this debate, the introduction, main argument, rebuttal, response, and summation, which do you think was the most challenging to prepare for and why? And then if both teams could maybe give just a very short response. Thanks.
For our team, the most hardest thing to do is the response, because we have to be quick on our feet, and we don't really know what we can guess what they're going to rebuttal, but we can't know for sure what they're going to say. Thank you.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thanks.
Sorry. To begin, thank you for your question. For our team, like they said, response, it's more difficult to anticipate what the team could possibly say. And also our main argument, because personally for us, arguing affirmative and negative, we thought our negative argument was a lot stronger compared to our affirmative. And so yeah, we struggled with response and our main argument. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Any more questions? Okay, thank you, judges. We have come to the end of debate 5. Thank you, Bonbe Team 2 and Team Yap. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give them a big round of applause. Thank you. Debaters, since we're now on our last.
We are pledged on every sin we are pledging with heart and with hand for measure of devotion to thee, our native land, for measure of devotion. Sin we are pledging with heart and with hand for measure of devotion to thee, our native land, for Micronesia, join hands on every side.
Representing Team Kushai, from Kushai STA debaters Oleander Kinere, Vitalina Selina Masitubua, and alternate debater Priya Aikonet and coach Nina George. Please welcome Chuk Team 1 and Team Kushai. Judges for debate 6, we have David Johnson, staff attorney, FSM Supreme Court, Jesse Studd, staff attorney, FSM Congress, and Alex Webb outlining its position and argument. Each team will have 3 minutes for the introduction. Main argument, the teams will develop and explain the arguments identified in their introduction. Each team will have 15 minutes allotted for this part. Third section, rebuttal. Each team will have 5 minutes to rebut to the main argument. Section 4, response. Each team will have 3 minutes to respond to the rebuttal. Section 5, summation and closing. Each team will have 4 minutes to summarize and conclude their presentation. Judges questioning. Section 6, judges may ask or will ask follow-up questions to clarify evidence or an argument that may have been made but not entirely clear. And our topic for this year, 2025 National Law Day, is be it resolved that the Federated States of Micronesia shall restrict access to all online social media platforms for minor children under the age of 18, including but not limited to Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. Debaters, are you ready? Let us begin. For the proponent's introduction, Chuk Team 1, you have 3 minutes.
Greetings, valued judges, respected debaters, and audience members here and far. My name is Summer Mori, and I am beyond honored to be here representing Saruman Chuk Academy, as well as my home state of Chuk, in this annual debate. The selected motion for this year's debate that we've gathered here to dispute is, be it resolved that the Federated States of Micronesia shall restrict access to all online social media platforms for minor children under the age of 18, including, but not limited to, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. As the spokesperson of the affirming side, my team and I firmly stand with the claim that there should, in fact, be social media restrictions set for minors in the FSM. In a society as digitally driven as ours, social media has become integrated into many of our lives. For our youth in particular, it has become normalized to have a social media account and engage with other digital platforms. With the freedom minors possess on the internet, there are a wide variety of issues that minors can run into. Despite the online world looking normal and harmless to the naked eye, the negative toll it has taken on our younger generation's lives is both significant and often overlooked. By the end of this debate, I ensure that you will be given all the sound and reasonable argument to support the claim that we, the Federated States of Micronesia, need to restrict social media to our minors. It is not only necessary, but urgent that we set these restrictions so that we can preserve our youth's well-being, character, and safety. Our main arguments, which will be given to you promptly, will show you that 1. Social media restrictions will sustain the mental health of the FSM's youth. 2. It will solve the ongoing issue of social media addiction. And finally, 3. Restrictions will safeguard our minors from the dangers of online predators. By supporting our claims, we can protect our youth and lead them towards a brighter and safer future. Thank you.
Thank you, Chuk Team 1. Opponents introduction, Team Koshai, you have 3 minutes.
Good morning to you all. I would like to start our debate by giving thanks to our Heavenly Father for his presence and blessings. We would also like to pay our humble respects to the leaders of our state of Koshai for hosting this year's National Law Day debate, and welcome all the FSM Supreme Court staff, FSM Congress staff, representatives, distinguished judges, honorable coaches, fellow debaters, and ladies and gentlemen here to watch. This year's topic for debate, which states, and I quote, "Be it resolved that the Federated States of Micronesia shall restrict access to all online social media platforms for minor children under the age of 18, including but not limited to Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube," end quote, might be taking things a bit too far. As the opposing side, we disagree with this proposition. We believe that this restriction will not only hinder the growth and development of the young generation, but will also spark a rebellious mindset among the adolescents. My partner is going to use this following outline, which I am going to give to you. Feel free to write this down. 1. Not needed because it improves Pacific Island connection. 2. Negatively impacts self-expression. And 3. Not workable. My partner will provide further details in our main argument. Instead of restricting this upcoming generation, our future leaders of FSM, we need to guide and lead them. By teaching them what is right and wrong, we can empower and guide them to learn how to use social media safely. And I quote, "Education is our greatest opportunity to give an irrevocable gift to the next generation," end quote, said by Ernest Fletcher, a former governor of Kentucky, U.S. congressman, and family physician. With the advancement of technology, social media continues to develop, growing in benefits, but with those benefits will also come negative effects. As this world continues to advance, and as we all continue to grow with it, we need to prepare these adolescents as their curiosity continues to grow as well. With the digital literacy programs, we don't only teach the children, but we also teach the parents and adults in their lives to guide them and be responsible. This concludes our introduction for the opposition. Thank you.
Thank you, Team Koshai. For the proponents' main argument, Chuk Team 1, you have 15 minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, as promised, I will now present my main points that will further prove why it is necessary to restrict social media access to the FSM's minors. First and foremost, one of the most pressing concerns regarding minors' free use of social media is the negative impact it has taken on their mental health. While it may not be as obvious, social media is truly a silent killer when it comes to the mental health of our minors. Numerous studies have unveiled the link between social media usage and mental health issues, including anxiety and depression. For example, it is reported from the American Psychological Institution that 41% of teens with the highest social media use rated their mental health as poor or very poor. 10% of this group expressed suicidal thoughts or thoughts of self-harm, and 17% of this group expressed poor body image. When it comes to the causes, there are many contributing factors as to how social media can evoke such worrisome feelings into oneself. Some of the most common reasons are self-comparison and FOMO. Self-comparison can arise just from what is displayed on social media. It puts a distorted lens on appearances and realities. On the McLeanHospital.org, it states that when there's a filter applied to the digital world, it can be hard for teens to tell what's real and what isn't, which comes at a difficult time for them physically and emotionally. For a minor that is still growing and still developing their sense of self, comparison to others on social media can foster a hostile relationship between a person and their own self-image. Along with social media comparison, social media also increases feelings of FOMO. FOMO is an abbreviation used for fear of missing out. And although it may seem like a silly abbreviation, for a lot of young people, it is something that truly takes a toll on them. Having access to others' lives on social media can increase someone's own feelings of dissatisfaction in their own day-to-day lives. On health.ucdavis.edu, it says, social media is often called a highlight reel, displaying the best parts of users' life. With that being said, younger generations may feel like they're missing out on events that people post on social media, a glorified version of reality. Being very similar, self-comparison and FOMO can impact self-esteem, trigger anxiety, depression, and many other mental health issues. This issue becomes all the more urgent when we apply it to the Federated States of Micronesia. While we deeply value our culture, close relations, and respect, mental health is often an issue that we leave unspoken. Young Micronesians suffer in silence because speaking about our mental well-being has been a habit of something that we've swept under the rug for generations. As a result, many younger Micronesians tend to not voice their mental health issues to their parents and elders in fear of being misunderstood. With no one to turn to, these feelings become bottled up, leaving their problems unresolved. Social media needs to be restricted for minors in the FSM so we can prevent it from ruining their mental health, improve their self-esteem, and save our youth from struggling alone behind their screens. Going off my last point, one of the main reasons for the raised concerns for minors' mental health on social media is cyberbullying. Unlike traditional bullying, which only takes place during in-person interactions, cyberbullying follows its victims everywhere, into their homes, their bedrooms, and even their own moments of solitude. Cyberbullying is well known as bullying that occurs online and uses the very devices that were meant to connect us as tools of cruelty and torment. Cyberbullying is no longer just a personal issue. It has become recognized as a public health crisis with real consequences. For starters, we already know that cyberbullying is an issue, but how many minors does it really affect? Well, on www.annapolis.gov, they share that nearly 42% of kids have been cyberbullied, and 1 in 4 have had it happen to them more than once. Related to suicide, and 17.7% had viewed websites associated with self-harm. These statistics don't simply represent numbers. They represent real people, real pain, and in some tragic cases, real lives lost. Our youth especially receive a lot of cyberbullying online. As Micronesians, we carry not only the challenges of adjusting to a modern digital age, but also the weight of cultural discrimination. Derogatory remarks against specific ethnic groups can fuel tension and exacerbate existing divides, underscoring the urgent need for clear communication guidelines. John Okamura, a professor at UH Hilo, said himself, "If you go online and read these jokes, they are some of the most vile representations, dehumanizing perceptions, and statements made about Micronesians." We are already subjected to stereotypes and racism, and online, these injustices can take an even darker turn. Hate speech, racial slurs, comments portraying us as a burden and unworthy. For minors in the FSM, these offenses do more than just hurt our feelings. They erode cultural pride, silence voices, foster self-hate, and even cause us to retaliate. When our youth retaliates, they themselves can participate in cyberbullying, the very thing that we should all be against. As they grow up, our minors are still forming their identities, including their understanding of their culture. They should be learning to celebrate who they are, not be ashamed of it. Cyberbullying robs them of achieving this confidence. By setting restrictions on minors' access to social media, we can shield them from the ruthless attacks of cyberbullies and continue to let them grow in an environment where culture is celebrated, not mocked. We can free them from a toxic cyberbullying cycle and rise above to uphold the dignity of our community. Moving on, without any restrictions and limits set on minors' access to social media, many of them have become glued to their phones. Internet addiction is a real and serious consequence among all minors, including the ones in the FSM. But how can something as simple as scrolling through our devices become so addicting? The answer lies in how social media manipulates our brain's reward system. According to recover.org, every like, share, or notification triggers a dopamine release. Dopamine is known as the happiness chemical and is also linked to addictive behaviors. The more minors seek this digital high, the more they become trapped in a cycle that distracts minors from real-life connections with artificial stimulation, detaching minors from the real world. Here in the Federated States of Micronesia, the effects are plainly visible. From our teens glued to TikTok for hours to our babies hypnotized by Cocomelon on YouTube, minors of all ages are affected by social media addiction. These addictive patterns of overuse are taking chances from our youth to make meaningful connections and experiences. This also distracts them from other aspects of their lives that they should be prioritizing. Let's take their education, for example. Because of social media addiction, minors' academic performance have been affected. Without realizing it, minors let their addiction to social media overtake other essential things in their day-to-day lives, including their sleep and education. On Johns Hopkins Medicine, it shares that the combination of social media content and blue light exposure causes overstimulation that disrupts the natural sleep cycle. This is relevant because sleep isn't simply just rest, but it is essential to our learning. According to lifestylemedicine.stanford.edu, sleep solidifies all your memories from the day, including the lessons you were taught and the work you were assigned to finish. Without proper sleep, all that classroom effort goes to waste. Particularly in the FSM, while there may be decent schools, they are not always accessible to everyone. In a nation where access to quality education is already limited, it is all the more urgent that we encourage our youth to prioritize it. If we want to empower our youth to reach their full academic potential, we must take extra steps to clear that path. By enforcing social media restrictions like time limits, we can prevent our minors access to using social media for long periods of time. Instead of being stuck on their internet, they can be dedicating their time to more productive activities. We have the opportunity to protect their health, focus, and future, so that they can have the tools they need to succeed in school and other aspects of their lives. Lastly, many people falsely assume that what happens online stays online. But the truth is, the digital world can lead to very real and very serious consequences. One of the most alarming issues minors face on social media is exposure to online predators. While parents often warn their kids about stranger danger in real life, many overlook the predators hiding behind the screens. Children and teens are nieces, nephews, or even your own children. Imagine the strangers they could encounter all because of a social media app. At the 2024 American Academy of Pediatrics National Conference and Exhibition, researchers revealed that 7% of children aged 10 to 18 treated for sexual assault between 2018 and 2023 met their perpetrators through social media. 89% of these victims were women, and 80% of the perpetrators were men. The Pacific region, including the FSM, has some of the highest rates of sexual and physical violence against girls. According to a Pacific community blog, up to 68% of girls in the Pacific Islands countries have suffered physical or sexual violence from a partner, more than double the average of 30% reported by the World Health Organization. Unfortunately, social media creates an outlet for these violent patterns to thrive. Because many parents in the FSM didn't grow up with social media, they may not understand how to monitor these platforms, making minors all the more vulnerable to these predators. To protect our generations from the invisible threats lurking in digital spaces, we must restrict social media access to our minors in the FSM and close the door to potential predators. For these previous reasons, it is imperative that the Federated States of Micronesia takes action to restrict social media access to our minors. Whether that is by content-based restrictions, time limits, content filtering, or more, any step taken can further benefit our youth. By setting social media restrictions, we can protect our minors' mental health, save them from being attached to their phones, and shield them from online predators. Thank you.
Thank you, Chuk. Team 1. Opponents rebuttal. Team Koshai, you have 5 minutes.
I would like to start our rebuttal by going through some of their points that they have said. The proposition talked about how young Micronesians don't voice their thoughts because they are afraid of being judged by the older generation. Well, social media is an outlet where they can express their thoughts, where others can also understand. Other Micronesians across the world probably have experienced similar experiences that they have had and may relate to them. Social media is not the cause of mental health issues. Yes, it may play a small factor, but according to our evidence that will be presented later, social media does not play a huge role in mental health issues. If anything, social media helps with mental health. Knowing the traditional way of our island, many teens and kids are too scared to speak their mind. But with social media, they can speak their minds freely. Social media even has many platforms for teens to speak their minds and gain advice from professionals. You have also brought up cyberbullying, bullying has always existed even before social media. Social media is not the only place to be bullied. We need to teach our kids not to bully in general. Bullying, whether it's online or offline, we will experience hate, and we can't prevent or protect them just by restricting social media. You have also brought up how social media addiction can also social media can be a distraction or an addiction. So it can be a distraction. There are plenty of other apps that are also addicting and distracting. Video games like PUBG, Call of Duty, Roblox, these are examples of other addicting apps on technology. You have also brought up how social media can be addicting and can have kids staying up late or sleep deprivation. People have stayed up late even before social media has happened. Would you rather have your kids sneaking out at night or up all night on the phone using social media? Of course, you would rather know that your kid is safe in their room instead of outside the house, not knowing where they are and who they are with. You have also brought up that social media has predators. There have been predators even before social media. Many predators are people that your children love and trust. Social media is just a small extension for a predator to reach your kids. We already teach our kids not to talk to strangers. We can warn our kids about the signs of a predator for them to be in control in case of such situations. And that is all. Thank you.
Thank you, Team Koshai. Proponents' response to the rebuttal. Chuk Team 1, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Team Koshai, for your rebuttal. These are all valid concerns. However, it doesn't change the fact that minors face more challenges on social media than reaping the benefits. On your point on saying predators exist everywhere.
Excuse me, debater. Can you please stop so she can reset her time? Response to rebuttal. 3 minutes. Sorry.
You're okay.
Thank you. Continue.
Thank you, Team Koshai, for expressing your concerns. However, it doesn't change the fact that minors face more challenges on social media than reaping the benefits. On your point on saying that predators are everywhere and not only social media, that doesn't change the fact that a lot of our minors are exposed to predators on social media. On jitnix.org, it says approximately 1 in 5 children who use internet have been sexually solicited online. 30% of these teens have received unwanted sexual messages, and 60% of online predators use social media platforms to groom minors. These statistics underscore the critical need for social media usage for minors to take proactive measures to protect them from online predators. On your point on there being mental health issues before social media, and there's other reasons for mental health problems. While social media isn't the main cause of mental health issues and even cyberbullying, it is one of the biggest contributing factors. On a CNN news report, it stated that 48% of teens ages 13 to 17 said that social media had a mostly negative effect on people their age's mental health. Only 11% of teens said social media is mostly positive for their peers. 50% of teen girls also report that they feel worse about their bodies after scrolling through social media, according to aacap.org. It also states that 87% of teenagers have reported experiencing cyberbullying online. That's almost 90% of teenagers being exposed to cyberbullying. By restricting social media access, many minors' mental health will be benefited as many struggle with mental health issues because of social media. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chuk Team 1. For the opponent's main argument, Team Koshai, you have 15 minutes for your main argument.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will now present our main points that advocate against the proposed ban of social media for individuals under the age of 18. Our first point, this resolution is not needed because social media plays a vital role in enhancing health, education, and maintaining family connections. Subpoint A, health. During the COVID-19 pandemic, social media became an essential tool for dismantling health information rapidly. Platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram allowed health organizations to share updates and advice, helping millions stay informed and safe. Moreover, telehealth services often rely on social media platforms to connect patients with healthcare providers, reducing strains on hospitals and clinics. According to the ellisbehavioralhealth.com, I quote, "Telehealth provides a safe and private environment for teens to discuss this sensitive topic," end quote. In 2021, a research paper titled "Suicide and Suicide Attempts in the Pacific Islands, Western Pacific," stated that FSM had the second highest rate at 10.6% globally for youths 10 to 19. These are startling facts, but facts nonetheless. With adequate services and cultural stigma, social media platforms pave the way for our youths to have access to telehealth services that they will offer the assistance that they will need. Some may say that the FSM youth do not use telehealth services, and we should not be discussing this. We disagree and say that by educating them that they are safe, that they have safe and controversial options on social media, then they will turn to say to these services. The opposing side will say that social media may cause or add to mental health issues for our youth. But we are saying instead of closing all avenues of assistance, we show them the way. Subpoint B, education. Social media provides access to wealth of online resources, such as online lectures, tutorials, and discussion groups that expand learning opportunities beyond traditional classrooms. Students from diverse backgrounds can collaborate on projects, participate in online courses, and exchange ideas across borders. This democratizes education, making it accessible to more individuals. Our very own COM FSM is offering dual enrollment for high school students, and a lot of these classes are offered online, with social media platforms as some of the channels that are used for finding information and restrict social media. Secondly, social media supports college applications through targeted advertising and networking. Think about students preparing for higher education, are attending or will be attending in the near future. Instead of downright restricting, we should focus on digital literacy of social media. Teaching children responsible digital habits and critical thinking is the step to take and not restriction. Subpoint C, family connections. Connections are greatly enhanced through social media. It allows families separated by distance to stay in touch through video calls, messages, and photo sharing. During crises like funerals, natural disasters, and pandemics, platforms become lifelines to maintain emotional bonds and cordial support. Just last week here on Koshrai, a sporting tournament was held and brought in families that have been apart for too long. Social media helps these families stay connected and prepare for the joyful reunions that took place. For Micronesians, especially for the FSM, especially for the FSM, family is the greatest treasure. Is the greatest treasure that we have. All great successes and failures, ventures, propositions, beginnings, and endings all revolve around the family. Social media keeps these activities alive and well, wherever families are. And according to the worldbank.org, remnants that family members send back home to their children account for 3% of the GDP of a country. So social media connects families in ways that the government is even benefiting from. Our second main point, this resolution negatively impacts self-expression. Social media empowers users to express themselves creatively and advocate for causes important to them. Platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook offer a space for their perspectives. Young creators can promote their talents, sell their products, and even find employment opportunities, all thanks to the visibility social media provides. In November 2020, the Pacific Island Forum's secretary published Pacific E-Commerce, which reported on COM FSM offering skills development courses and certificates for the youth development courses, including information and communication technology. In this same publication, the FSM government expressed the desire to improve digital access and knowledge in the FSM. The Strategic Development Plan and National Infrastructure Development Plan both express priorities of improving the electronic channels in the FSM for the importance of our digital presence. I know that everything I just mentioned a while ago will have you questioning, what does this have to do with social media and our youth? And our answer is everything. Breadfruit Company, Sienna Micronesian Roots, Mimi Lays, and Yappies Lays are just some examples of businesses in the FSM that advertise to all age generation, but mostly to the youth. The government will be, in fact, affecting small businesses developed in the FSM. Moreover, this restriction hinders our youth from expressing their creativity, which may lead to future artists, carvers, poets, and yes, business creators. This kind of self-expression is crucial for personal development and confidence building, and we are arguing today to hinder it. Self-expression and possible economic development. Our third main point is that this resolution is not workable. Subpoint A, the firewall setup. According to Jacob John, manager of telecommunications, Koshai branch, the proposed firewall system is fundamentally flawed because it cannot selectively restrict minors without also blocking adults. Fine-tuning firewalls to distinguish minors from adults is complex and costly. And due to this dynamic nature of the internet, it is impossible to achieve perfect accuracy. Because the firewall setup cannot reliably differentiate between minors and adults, the system is unworkable. It causes undue restrictions on responsible adults, defeating the purpose. Subpoint B, enforcement challenges. Enforcing strict restrictions on social media access for individuals under the age of 18 significantly practically hurdles, making such measures largely incapable. Firstly, the nature of digital technology means that adolescents can easily access restrictions through VPNs, proxy servers, and access platforms via device outside their guardian's control, such as friends' phones, and public Wi-Fi. Secondly, implanting and maintaining robust monitoring systems require extensive resources and continuous technology update, which may be beyond the capacity other bodies and platforms. This often results in ineffective enforcement and inconsistently application of restrictions. Rather than banning children and young people from social media, the government should regulate to enhance the protection of children's privacy and personal data, while prioritizing their human rights. Removing the benefits that social media brings will not achieve the government's objectives of improving young people's lives, and ignore the fact that the harms extend beyond children and young people to marginalized people and groups. The best way to protect children and young people online is by protection laws and not by personalized based on profiling, was stated by MS International Australian campaigner Nikita White. In response to the government of Australia restricting access to minors under the age of 16 from social media platforms. Additionally, the global research of social media platforms complicates enforcement, as different countries have very legal standards and enforcement capabilities, making it difficult to create an unfiltered approach. Furthermore, such restrictions may affect enforcement mechanisms and could cause collateral issues, such as increased secret activities or development of underground social networks. Thank you.
Thank you, Team Koshai. Proponents rebuttal. Chuk Team 1, you have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Team Koshai, for sharing your points, but my team and I are not convinced. First of all, on your point relating to setting restrictions being not workable, it is not absolute. Shouldn't we at least try to go the extra mile for the sake of our minors' well-being, rather than saying that enforcing these restrictions are simply not workable? Second, on regards to you talking about the educational content, while educational content exists online, how often are minors really seeking it out? And why rely on social media to be our source of educational resources while there are many others available? On your third point of it promoting self-expression, why do many minors face self-doubt, poor body image, and other issues caused by social media? Does it really promote healthy self-expression, or does it cause our minors to feel worse about themselves? You also say that restricting social media will hinder growth and development, but isn't restricting social media for minors also help reduce the chances of getting bullied? Why should we allow our minors to be vulnerable to more diverse dangers that will negatively affect their growth and development? Your other point were about the businesses and how they use social media to thrive, but those businesses in the Federated States of Micronesia that you have mentioned, such as Breadfruit Company and Sienna Dog Company, have websites off of social media and storefronts on our islands of Pohnpei and other pop-ups in Chuuk. Therefore, there's other ways to make these websites accessible to minors. Also, why did you use ban in your arguments when we are simply talking about enforcing restrictions that will guide our minors on digital platforms? Saying banning is saying that we are taking these platforms away fully, but with restrictions, we are simply placing rules to make the digital world safer for our minors. Thank you.
Thank you, Chuk Team 1. Opponents' response to the rebuttal. Team Koshai, you have 3 minutes.
Judges, in my response to rebuttal, I would like to go down our outline once again. Main point number 1, not needed because social media plays a vital role in enhancing health, education, and maintaining family connections. The proponent team mentioned the proponent team didn't attack our main point. That it doesn't negatively impact self-expression. However, according to our evidence, that social media helps. Sorry.
What's the time? What's the time?
I would like to start again. Judges, in my response to rebuttal, I would like to go down our outline once again. Our first main point is not needed because social media plays a vital role in enhancing health, education, and maintaining family connections. You did, from what I heard, the opposing team did not attack our first sub-point, health. So I'm assuming that they agree with this sub-point. And B, they did not attack our sub-point B, education, so I'm assuming they also agree with us. For our main point number 2, we said negatively impacts self-expression. The proponent team has stated that social media will have the adolescents feel vulnerable to cyberbullying and other mental health or other activities that may affect their mental health. And we would like to respond to that by saying social media, with all its negative factors, we cannot shield our adolescents from the negative factors of life. There will always be negative factors, even outside of social media. So just by restricting social media, an opportunity where they can express their voice. Thank you.
Your time's up. Thank you. Team Koshai. It is time for the summation and closing. Proponent summation. Chuk Team 1, you have 4 minutes.
Judges, as I close my argument, I want to bring everything back to one central truth. While social media may be powerful, it is dangerous in the hands of minors, and this is especially evident in the FSM. Our young people are still growing. They are still developing their sense of self, forming their values, and learning how to navigate the world around them. In its current form, social media was not designed with their formation in mind. It is a space filled with filtered realities, harmful comparisons, addictive design, and predatory behavior. Minors simply lack the maturity or life experiences yet to defend themselves from these hidden harms. This isn't a criticism of them. It is a fact of human development. The prefrontal cortex are the part of their brains, and it's the part that is in charge of developing, especially the parts that control judgment, decision-making, and emotional regulation. Expecting them to manage a platform as overwhelming and fast-moving as social media is like asking someone to navigate a stormy sea with no map, no compass, and no life jacket. We are throwing our minors into the deep end when we allow them access to social media with no restrictions and guidelines. We've already discussed the mental health consequences, the higher rates of anxiety, depression, body image issues, and social media and suicidal thoughts. We've covered how social media breeds cyberbullying that follows kids into every aspect of their lives. We've talked about how it fuels social media addiction. We've proved that it opens doors for online predators to contact our youth. The issues don't even stop there. Many of our parents and elders did not grow up in a digital age. This generational gap makes it harder for them to understand or monitor what our children face online. That lack of supervision, combined with the immaturity of the FSM's minors, creates a perfect storm for trouble. Now, judges, let me ask you this. If we see the harm, if we understand the dangers, and if we know that our children are not equipped to handle themselves, why aren't we acting? Restricting social media access for our minors under the age of 18 isn't about limiting their freedom or denying them fun. It's about protecting their well-being, preserving their cultural identity, and giving them room to grow without toxic interference from the digital world. Instead of waiting for the FSM's youth to suffer the same consequences seen across the globe, let's learn from these mistakes. Let us lead with foresight, not regret. Let us be the generation that made the hard but right decision. Let us protect our children, not just because of our future, but because they deserve a present that is safe, supported, and rooted in real connection, not artificial validation. Thank you.
Thank you, Chuk. Team 1. Opponents closing and summation. Team Koshai, you have 4 minutes.
As we conclude our debate, I would like to thank everyone again for taking their time to be here, and for those who traveled from afar for taking their time to be here as well. Let me repeat the proposition for this year's debate. Quote, "Be it resolved that the Federated States of Micronesia shall restrict access to all online social media platforms for minor children under the age of 18, including but not limited to Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube," end quote. We disagree with the proposition because it holds back the development of our adolescents and shields them from the realities of the world today. I would also like to go over our main points one last time in case they were missed. 1. Not needed because it improves Pacific Island connections. 2. Negatively impacts self-expression. 3. Not workable. With our facts and logical reasonings presented, we strongly disagree with the proposition. Time is constantly moving. The world is constantly changing. The younger generation is constantly growing older. Over thousands of years, we have constantly adapted to the evolutions of this world, but the proposition presents a significant change that stifles the growth and development of a generation that is only just finding its voice. Clearly stated in our very own FSM preamble, quote, and I quote, "To preserve the heritage of the past and to protect the promise of the future," end quote. We need to protect the promise of the future with these ever constantly evolving advancements. And I quote, "Life is really simple, but we insist on making it complicated," end quote. A quote from Confucius. To hinder their access to connection, expression, and opportunity is to ignore the realities of a rapidly evolving world. It is to place barriers not on technology, but on trust. Trust in their resilience, trust in their ability to adapt, and trust in their right to be heard. Our team has presented logical reasonings, real-world examples, and the undeniable benefits of digital access across the Pacific. From educational advancement to telehealth and family unity, this is not about luxury. This is about necessity. Let us not lead by fear of what might go wrong, but by faith in what might go right. Because the future isn't waiting, it's already unfolding. In classrooms, on screens, and in the hearts of young voices rising to meet it. Quote, "We cannot always build the future for our youth, but we can always build our youth for the future," end quote, by Franklin D. Roosevelt. So we stand firmly resolved. We oppose this proposition, not out of defiance, but out of duty to protect, to empower, and to believe in the younger generation who will carry our islands forward. This concludes our argument for the proposition. Thank you again for your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Team Koshai. It is now time for the judges' questioning, and this is for clarification purposes only. Judges, you may begin.
First of all, a really amazing job. Honestly, these debates have been fantastic and very informative for myself, and I really appreciate all the work that you all have put into them. I wanted to ask a question specifically about one of the main points that the proponents have brought up, and that was that you were saying that the internet is addictive. Can I ask, again, I'm really curious, I just want to know, how many of you, and I'm going to ask the same question to the opponents, think that you personally are addicted to the internet? I'm curious. Oh, she can't speak. She's an alternate.
Well, I think I can speak on behalf of me and my team when I can say that social media addiction has impacted parts of our lives, even for this debate, because while we were trying to study, do our note cards, research, we would find ourselves going on to our social media apps, checking our messages, and then we'd be like, oh wait, we need to start doing this debate again. It would take us hours when it could have even just taken us like 30 minutes. So yeah, I think social media really has an effect on a lot of our lives.
Thank you. And I would like to ask the opponents as well. How many of you think you're addicted to the internet?
For me, I would say I am addicted to the internet, but it's not only social media that I use. It's mainly other apps that are also addicting. So thank you.
I'd like to echo what my fellow judge said at the beginning, that this has been a wonderful experience for me. Both of you did a great job. Really, all 6 teams have clearly put a lot of time and effort into their performances, and so this really made this a special place, special time. I'd also like to thank the people of Coast Rye. I've really enjoyed being able to spend a little bit of time exploring the island, a very beautiful place with very gracious and hospitable people. So my thanks to everyone who made this day possible. My question is to both teams. Is basically, if you reflect back from the very beginning of your preparations for this law day, is there anything that as a team you would have done differently leading up to this moment? And maybe just a short comment from both the proponents and the opponents. Thanks.
I think I'm proud of what me and my debate team came up with for this debate, but maybe just like debating like each other, practicing our performance, and like being confident in our debates. That's all.
Thanks.
I also agree with them. Being confident and practicing more would have definitely helped us. But I also like to add just finding more evidence in FSM to really help us. Or we can even create evidence with like surveys and everything. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, let me once again say thank you, and once again congratulate you all for being here. Your preparation, your research, your thoughtfulness, your creativity continue to shine through in every debate, so I hope you're all justifiably very proud. I'm sorry to ask a highly technical and boring question, but to the proponent, in your main argument at the very end, you listed some of the potential ways that this type of restriction could be put into effect. I remember hearing that. I kind of missed them. I didn't get them written down. I'm wondering if you could just tell me one or two that you think are the most practical ways to go about restricting access to social media for minors. And then, opponent, I'd like to offer you a chance to reply.
Okay, thank you. The restrictions that I went over are content-based restrictions, time limits, content filtering, and other ones. But I think some of the most beneficial ones could be like which apps certain ages can go on, because there's like older people on social media, but then there's also like the kids, the like people still in elementary school. So there's things like YouTube Kids or even Messenger Kids that parents can monitor what their kids are doing online instead of going on those other social media platforms. And also time limits to improve kids' other aspects of their lives so they can focus on like sports, educational opportunities, and just other things that they can do when they're not attached to their phones on social media. So I would say those are the two restrictions that I think will be most beneficial to our minors.
Great, thank you. And the opponent, since the impracticality was a key element, I'd like to ask if you would care to respond. YouTube Kids, not the full YouTube experience.
I believe that there are already restrictions like that. It's just the parents that have to enforce their children to use these restrictions. Because as the government, they cannot control, like, children are not, how do I say this? The government cannot control their parent or the children themselves. It's the parents that are still responsible for them. So they would have to be the ones who enforce these time limits and stuff to be used. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Any more questions? Thank you, judges. This is the end of debate 6. Thank you, Chuk Team 1 and Team Kushai. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give them a round of applause. We have come to the conclusion of all 6 debates. Thank you and congratulations to all debaters and coaches for an excellent job. Please, let's give them another round of applause. A big one. We'll take a 1-hour break for the calculation of the scores and resume back here at 1:30. Thank you.
join hands